So, folks, we're live here. Rayon and Darien, we are here to talk to you guys about personal development, of course.
Woo!
Yeah, so let's go. Hey, how have you been? Been good?
Been good, been good.
Yeah, life is great.
Life is very good, man. Um, yeah, it was. We went on a run earlier. That was nice.
Yeah, it's always when we go on a run, we end up having some really deep conversations. I notice, like I don't know, something about the running, probably perhaps bring that out of us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's. There's a lot of different ways to get out of the way of the flow,
yeah.
and doing the running is one of them for sure.
Mhm.
Where we, because it's like Abraham says, we pull the cork down, and really it wants to float and it wants to be up here. And
Yeah.
if we let go, then the cork will just float up on the surface. So yeah, man, sometimes we just need to get out of the way and
Hmm.
tap into uh that
Flow
higher
state.
connection. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I found myself listening to quite a bit of Bob Proctor a couple of weeks ago. I
Mm.
I kind of and he was tough because he talks a lot about the like the repetition and all of that good stuff. He will speak a lot about that and how you can actually use repetition to to do the things that you do not want to do. But what I got from that is, okay, we learn these things, but we don't internalize them. And
Yeah, they're in the
and so
head.
this is why he talks, he recommend repetition so much because, okay, you look at a guy and the guy knows right from wrong, but he's still making a ton of mistakes and you're wondering why is that happening. He hasn't, you know, internalized the principles. And that's just something that I noticed that he will talk about a lot about internalizing the principles. So when we get something to do, or we have a teacher or something like that, and they say, "Hey, do this," and we typically don't do it, just hasn't internalized it at all, and yeah, it has to become part of you. I heard that, yeah, and so that's the reason why I spent my time listening to and repeat listening to the same things over and over again because I know it is, for some people there, it's gonna drive them nuts. That's for sure. And be like, hey, how I used to listen to the same audio that I heard you listen to like 2 years ago. Yeah, you know. So,
how
so
often
yeah,
how
it's the
often Go ahead.
internalization. And so
Yeah.
I have been listening to him. I have to keep on reminding myself what I need to be doing on a daily basis. I have to teach myself every single day. I have to train myself, understand that there is no savior, nobody's coming to save me. And okay, maybe there are a few teachers out there who are dying to teach me, but I don't know about all that. So I have to get up and go there and go do it myself. uh,
Yeah. Yeah. So how often are you doing your because some of the affirmations that you made, you listen to every day, right?
yeah, I at least I try to let me at least I try to read at least I try to read them. So if I'm not listening to them, then I'm reading them. So these are uh sales quotes, and but um these are quotes
Hmm.
from
Wow.
great teachers and people who are inspiration, uh, prosperity affirmations. So
Mm,
happiness affirmations.
nice.
One of my favorite, Power Thoughts by Louise Hayes.
Ooh, nice.
Uh, so I keep on going back to the same things over and over and over again because I understand that I have to keep on doing them. The moment I stop, I notice that um, I don't remember them anymore, and I don't think I'm making a ton of mistakes. I don't think I do, but because I think subconsciously these are downloaded. But the habit
Mm.
of doing them, I do not want to lose the habit of practicing this type of teaching here. So that's why I keep on going back to them as often as I possibly can. If I miss a day or two, then the third day I'll be running back like a madman back towards them because
It's like your
uh,
water or your air.
yeah. In the beginning, when I just started out on this journey here in the beginning, I could not go a full day without listening to something or reading some type of motivation or something like that. I just have to. And at night, of course, when I'm going to bed, I have some affirmations that I listen to at night. I like to listen to Dr. Wayne Dyer. Um, his affirmation. It's like a 3 hour long repeat prayer. I told you about that one time, and you said that the prayer is from some Indian guy, and yes, that the guy that inspired him. And I like to listen to that. Well, I like to listen to Florence Scovershin. She was a great spiritual teacher back in the 1920s. I think she died 1940. But I recommend her work. One of the book that she wrote is that I highly recommend. I listen to it a lot, not so often these days, but I used to listen to her a lot. And that book is geez, see, okay, the name will come to me in a little bit. The Game of Life, and she said that life is a game, and you need to know how to play it. And she has other books out there too that I like to listen to on audios, and so very inspirational woman, Florence Scovel. I highly recommend her work. So so the Game of Life. That's a if you are into prosperity and spirituality, I highly recommend you listen. It's like Wallace T. Waddles, the science of getting rich. Highly recommend. You don't need to do anything at all. All you need to do is just um put your earbuds into your ears and just consume that really good information. So those are two books that I would recommend people listen to online. Um, you know and it's like I said, you have to be patient with yourself and learn to teach yourself while you're at it. And something here I have been doing lately as well, like I told you. So I've been doing some reading here too, but this is just me.
The words you should know what?
Words.
The words you should know to sound smart.
Yeah,
Mm.
but pretty much it's just vocabulary, intellectual stuff. And I like to read this as often as I possibly can. So there you go again. Repetition. How are you gonna learn this? By look at it one time, I guarantee you it's not gonna happen. So repetition is like one of the things that I like to go back to the same things. I like new information. I'm reading this. It's not necessarily new information to me,
What is that one?
It is
What does it say?
overthrow. So
Overthrow.
it's this is more like deep politics, and this is like different stuff. But the information in this book here, I know the information already, but I still go back and read it over and over again. So that way I can tell it to somebody whenever we're having these conversations, because this is like government stuff, and how the government works and what they do outside of the country and all of that stuff. But I understand I need, so in my life I've been referring to back to this type of these incidents that happens in this book and those. So I get into arguments with people online because of what I'm saying, and they don't get it. So they tend to get they're not so happy with me when I'm saying stuff about politics and all that. So personal development is perfectly fine. Nobody said anything. Nobody bothers you when you are talking about personal development. When you start talking about politics, then things can go left.
Yeah, it's
So,
true. And sometimes, I mean, with every subject, but you get into spirituality or politics, um, maybe sexuality. Those are more controversial.
yes, uh, eh, eh, because spirituality for me, and I have never really hear anybody give me a definition of what that really means.
Mm,
And spirituality for me is peace, love, happiness, harmony, joy, fun, laughter, and of course, if you want to throw some money in there, I'll take it. But prosperity, that's pretty much what spirituality is for me. These are the things that make me, so for instance, quotes. I like reading quotes. Makes me sound a little bit more wiser than how I was. And so I like to go back and read these quotes over. To change my poverty mindset, I need some prosperity affirmations. Yeah? Okay. I need to be a little bit more positive than because we have to do the work. The work has to be done, and the work is daily. And I totally understand when I see somebody who say, "Oh, my God, it's so hard. Am I gonna have to do all of that?" Not necessarily, but if you truly want to change your life, then you probably should do the work and wait for the results, because you will not get any results without you doing the work.
yeah, yeah. It's basically like a garden, right? We have a there was a video I made. It was basically talking about it was fucking crazy. So, okay, we can go through this for a moment. So, we have um there's different estimates, but it's somewhere around like 35, 50 trillion cells that are living inside of our bodies. I want to say 35 is like the most modern estimate. And then
At least 50
um
million.
yeah, they have different numbers depending upon, who you're talking to or where,
Bruce
you
Lipton said
know,
it's 50 million, but he used to work with cells, so I believe him.
Bruce Lipton. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but obviously these are all estimates. So we don't know for sure. But let's go with 50 million. So we've got 50 million fucking or no, 50 trillion
Hmm.
uh cells that are living
Hmm.
inside of us. All different types. Well, I think we talked a little bit about this last time. What the fuck is 50 trillion? What is 50 trillion? Like, it's just some big number, it's like, okay, yeah, that's a lot, I guess. But really, if we were to sit here and count just to 1 trillion, and we did 1 per second, so 1 cell, 2 cell, 3 cell, 4 cell, and we counted all of our cells. If we went to a trillion, it would take 32,000 years without stopping to
Yep.
count to a trillion. So we
Mm-hmm.
have 50 of those. So whatever uh 50 times 32,000 is like 10 would be 320,000. So then you do 5 more 320,000s. So we're talking about over a million or 2 million years to just count the fucking cells that are sitting inside our body.
Mm-hmm.
That is insane.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this ecosystem that's living inside of us. Um, and there's also estimated to be about the same amount. Let's say 50 trillion bacterias that are living in our gut, on our skin, in our blood, in our eyes, everywhere throughout our body, in our mouth. So um, we have this. Uh, I've been a little bit tired because I was sick, so I'm not feeling 100% today. But what were we talking about right before I started saying this? We were talking about oh yeah, the um what was the last thing we were talking about before I started talking?
We're talking about you have to do the work every single day because you have to. I think that's what we're talking. And then I was showing you these.
Those
And yeah.
Yeah.
So
Trying to
and then
remember.
we got into the cell thing. I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah. So I think what I
Yeah.
was trying. I think what I was saying was about you. If you don't do the work, then you're not gonna see any results. So we have
Oh,
to.
I remember. I
Yeah.
remember. So we basically have a giant world that lives inside of us. So we have I was explaining the amount of cells. That's way more people than we have on the planet. We have 6 billion people on the planet. Let's say with all the animals and everything, let's say there's 10 trillion. That's so we have this huge living body that's kind of like a fucking world that's growing and living, and if we don't keep track of it um like a garden, then it'll grow and it'll do stuff that we don't want it to do. So we have to guide this gigantic world that lives within us in the same way that you would guide like a garden. And that takes constant management. But what's cool is that the subconscious mind, because there's certain things that you do that don't take a lot of work. Like, let's say with you speak English and you don't have to put a lot of energy into that because you made a subconscious system that works, and you don't have to maintenance it a lot. Yeah, you have to use it, and if you weren't using it, you would kind of get rusty. Like if you stopped talking for a year, then you would kind of fucking lose a little bit of that power. Um, but it doesn't take a lot as long as you're doing little bits, and that's what you're talking about. Like, we have to work on this stuff the same way that if we don't use our body, then there's a weakness that occurs. There's a atrophy. So we kind of do two things. One is that we have to maintenance it, but we also have to create these systems and these structures like speaking English that don't take so much time in learning like it was to learn the language. Because to learn English was a lot, but to keep it up is way less. We can just kind of talk normal. We don't have to think about it a lot. We're not like messing up and, making all these weird noises. Like, it's a built system. And so we build these systems. um I was watching something and they were talking about how you can have a lot of intelligence, but if you don't have structures for that intelligence to live in, then it's a lot of times wasted. It's like people will think about the wrong things. Maybe they'll worry really intelligently. So you want to create a system for that higher intelligence. Maybe you have 140 IQ. So you take a structure to let that IQ flourish inside of. And so a big thing that I've been thinking about that's kind of coming through in this moment is we have this world that's living inside of us of almost like a giant earth. You know how like there's all these plants that grow on the earth, but what if instead of it was like a bunch of poison ivy, what if we made a bunch of strawberry bushes and sage brush and um wheat and blueberries and mango trees and pineapple. Um, like, what if we had cilantro and stuff, and it was all this really wonderful stuff that we could just walk through and pick up? And what if we built a thing that came up and harvested all that stuff for us? We can kind of use that as like this kind of like abstract metaphor, which is to say, like, how is your inner world in terms of like your self-talk? Because what you're talking about with affirmations is a language that is almost like a conversation that you're having with yourself. And you're teaching this conversation to be, because I think about gardening a lot, and I think it's something that hopefully a lot of people know about, but you build trellises and you have these kind of rows of different types of things. And if it wasn't like that, if it was this big jungle, it would be hard to harvest. But if it was not only organized, if it was also like you built a machine that would come out and harvest stuff for you, then it would put it in your kitchen. You can kind of like get to these places where you can build this inner world to be able to do an incredible amount of stuff for us as a person. Like, what I see with you, you have a way of talking to people where um like, let's say we're on a run and you just like scowled at someone, and that was like what you practiced a lot, and that was kind of the system that was living in your subconscious. It was just systemized. You don't think about it, it's just automatically going, and you're like, "Oh, there's a person. What do you want?" And that was your response. You wouldn't get the types of responses that you get. You're just walking by or jogging by, and you're like, "Hey, how's it going? Like, good to see you. Hey, did you win or did you lose the pickleball?" And, and that's like you built that system inside of you to work and to just turn on. And so we have that stuff with the foods that we eat, the things that we listen to, the clothes that we wear, the types of people that we like to be around, how we act in front of people, the type of work that we do. Basically, we have a huge world of systems that are all working together, and it's kind of like a fucking jungle that has to be maintenanced the same way that a garden does, the same way that the earth does. And so I know that's a little abstract, but I'm just trying
No,
to.
I totally get what you were saying there, and this is
Yeah.
why. Am I echoing?
No.
Okay, and this is why repetition is so necessary for what you are saying there, because this is how you maintain that garden you're talking about there, that mental garden. It needs to be maintained. How are you going to do it? Okay, let's say an actually physical garden. I only go in there once a month,
Mm.
or once every 2 months. What's gonna happen? Those
Weeds.
weeds, poison, ivy you're talking about there, they're gonna grow up, and guess what? They're gonna kill those berries, strawberries, blueberries, mango tree, pineapple. They're gonna kill them.
Mm.
My job is to make sure that these weeds don't grow up too tall. Are they gonna grow? Yes. So we're gonna have problems, and that's just part of the human experience. But I don't want to have too many unnecessary problems. Adversities are going to, hi Ruth, adversities are going to happen. When they happen, now I'm gonna have to learn how to deal with them. I can sit down and cry, or I can come to you and talk to you for a couple minutes about it. Because sometimes we have problems, and I'm like, hey, maybe I'm like, hey, Darien, I gotta talk to somebody. Could you sit with me for like 10 minutes so I can explain to you what I'm going through here? Blah blah blah. Perfectly fine. But my job is to make sure that I deal with that problem. Weeds are problems. And our minds are like that. They are going to spring up at some point, and then we're going to have to deal with that mental garden. And that's just how we deal with them. It's through doing the work. You have to weed that garden out as often as you possibly can. And you do that by keep on going back to the same things. I know it's maddening for some people because they can't understand. Am I gonna have to read the same thing? When you look at a bodybuilder or a guy who knows karate or boxing, or ask him how many times he has to repeat those same moves. If he stop doing or play, anytime he stop boxing for a little while, is that still there? Yes, because he might have done it so long, over a long period of time, then his mind remembers those moves. But if you stop doing it for a period of time, then you're not gonna be as effective. You're gonna get knocked out when you go in the ring. So me, I want my life to be smooth on a daily basis. When I go out in the world, I just want to go through, and in my days are smooth. Some days are gonna be bad. I understand that, but I don't want to have a series of bad days every single day. Every once in a while, okay, fine. But every day you wake up, you are angry, you are mad, you are bitter, you are in a low, sad, depressing state. Nothing is going right. Your job suck, your life suck, your relationship suck. Like, okay, I mean, do I want to, exist like that? No. So what do I do to counter that? And that's the reason why I said listening and reading the same things. I can get away from them for a little while, but I know I have to go back to them after a period of time. And that's just how I maintain a smooth, my days, make my days smooth. And if I have good days, then most likely I'm gonna have good weeks. And if I have good weeks, I'm gonna have good months, and good months adds up to good years. I'm not sure if you guys were anything like me back in the day when I used to have just mostly bad days, and then after a while, once this information has revealed to me, I said, okay. And then Bob Proctor came into my life, and he keeps on hammering this thing down into my head because I would listen to him so much, and he keep on saying, he said, you have to read and listen to the same darn thing. He knows too that it is intense, right? But this is how you are going to have. I don't care what it is you are doing. Okay. Let's say you're married and you love your wife. Okay, I love my wife last week. This week I don't really love her. This week, like, how long you think that relationship is gonna last for? It doesn't work. All right. So that's just it. We have to maintain whatever we are doing. We can. So when we get something, like you get your car. Well, I remember when I bought my car when I was in California. I bought a brand new car. They gave me this coupon or something. Why? To take my car in so I could get it oil change and whatever the hell else I need to work on there to maintain that vehicle. Human beings are like that too. We have to shower, we have to eat, we need to read, meditate, stuff like that. We need to do these things. Why, exercise? Why do we need to do it? That's why we can maintain this vehicle we have here. Your mind is like that too. You're gonna have to clean your mind, and how do you do that? Because Lord knows the type of stuff that we put into our minds on a daily basis. If you, let's say you work in a, like I when I used to work at certain restaurants or so, then they would turn on the news.
Woo! The news is rough.
Oh man, and
I
you
stopped
then,
watching like 10
oh,
years ago.
um and it's on CNN. And then when they get a little bit annoyed by it, then they go to Fox. Then they go to ABC. I'm telling you, if you do that for a long period of time, you're you're gonna see the results. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is why repetition is you. I mean, you can go without it. I don't recommend it. I say work on your mind, work on your thoughts every single day.
Well, what if we were to break it down a little bit? Because what's repetition? Repetition is a sequence of events. What is a day? It's a sequence of moments that we're alive. So we're always repeating something. So that means kind of like what we've talked about before, that's like a famous example or a story, which is that they say you have one wolf that's evil, one wolf that's good. Which one are you going to feed? Because that's the one that's going to be stronger and that's going to, act in your life. So, what you're talking about is like a basic principle of life, which is that what we focus on gets bigger because we are the feeder of this fucking garden that lives inside of our body and our life. And so, what we focus on is it's being fed like a water to a plant with food and fertilizer and sun. But instead of it just being one thing, we're everything. We are like the life giver of things in our life, just like you're talking about with a marriage or with your body or with your mind. It it all requires life or care or attention or focus in order to function right. And that's like built into the fabric of life. It's like in kind of like the quantum bedrock of reality all the way up. We see it. The sun is feeding the planet for a certain amount of energy. And if a plant or a person doesn't have enough focus of the water nearby, then they start to lose their power and eventually they'll die. And so what you're talking about is like basically saying you're alive and you're going to be experiencing a repetition of moments every day and of days throughout your life and weeks throughout your life, and whatever you focus on is going to be fed by you. It's going to be fed and it's going to live. And so what do you want to live? Do you want it to be, tragedies that you're watching on the news? Or do you want it to be gratitude lists that you make for 5 minutes in the morning when you wake up? Because so so some of it is simple, but some of it has nuance.
Hmm.
There's varying dynamics that are happening. Like one of the people that I like a lot that is friends with Bruce Lipton is Joe Dispenza. They're also friends with Greg Braden, and they're kind of three guys who are talking about similar stuff in a different way and adding like a helpful piece to this whole body of a conversation, just like you and I are doing. And so you have you have repetition that happens, but you also have things like leverage. So you could say, I'm going to go to work today, but how are you going to get to work? Are you going to crawl? Are you going to roll? Or are you going to do a handstand? Are you going to drive your car? Because depending upon how you repeat that thing that you're going to do every day, changes how much time and energy and the results that you get. And so we have these things called states of being. And one of those states of being is categorized by the brainwave states that we have that hypnotists use, whether it's a performative one, like making someone um, balk like a chicken, quack or cluck like a chicken. Um, I had a friend, I could share a quick story. So my friend who recently passed this past year, he went with a friend of his to a hypnotist show. It's like a circus or like live music. It's for entertainment. So they go to this show. My friend, his name was Brandon. Brandon, his buddy, we'll call him Gary. Gary was a very like shy and timid guy, and he would just kind of be quiet, and he had insecurities, and he didn't want to take up too much space. He had those types of issues. So the hypnotist asks to the crowd for certain people, and one of the people that he picked to go on the stage was Gary, Brandon's friend. So I think Brandon was like, get on the stage, come on, go, go, go. So Gary gets on the stage, and the hypnotist puts him under a hypnosis. So during the hypnosis, he changes his state, and they look for certain people that are more susceptible to being influenced by someone, and they know techniques to help this happen. So Gary goes into a more of like an alpha or a theta brainwave state. Then he's has kind of a great influence over him, and he's working with his subconscious mind now, and he tells Gary to start dancing like a chicken and doing this really crazy stuff, and Gary was just doing all this stuff, and my friend Brandon was like, "Who is this guy? I've never seen him act like this in my whole life." If he was in front of a stage of people, he'd be scared. But all of a sudden, he doesn't care at all. He's dancing and looking stupid, and he's not like nervous and scared. He's just like dancing and making himself look stupid, but it doesn't matter. He's pretending like there's no audience. So my friend Brandon was like, wow, like this stuff is real. Like if I didn't know if it was real, I thought maybe they had like actors in the crowd, but this guy got into my friend's head and made him do stuff that he wouldn't normally do. And you have therapeutic hypnotists that can get people a lot of times in one or two or three sessions to quit smoking cigarettes after 25 years of a pack a day. And we're talking about these programs, that's a very strong repeated program. That wolf of the cigarette smoker is huge, and it's been controlling that person. Maybe there was days during that 25 years where they really wanted to quit. It was expensive and their lungs hurt, and this person wanted to date them but they smelled bad. But that wolf was too big, it was too strong, and the person was too weak against it. But they go to the hypnotist, and after one or two or three sessions, they get them to stop. Now that's not a lot of repetition. So what's the difference? Well, they're using leverage in the same way that if we want to go to um, Tokyo, Japan, and we're living in America, we're not going to swim because why? Because it would take way too many repetitions. So what would we do? We would use a different tool that would leverage time, speed, different factors that would help us to either, probably drive in a car, go to an airport, and then get on a plane and fly. Um, it's covered. We're not like getting rained on and stuff. We're not having to do stuff. And instead of us swimming there for fucking, 9 months and maybe dying on the way, or getting in a boat, we use a different form of leverage, the same way that we could dig a hole with our fingers and our hands or a rock, or we could use a shovel, or we could use like a tractor. So we have different forms of leverage that can help us to achieve results within shorter amounts of time and shorter repetitions. I saw a guy at a place that owned the house I was renting. He had to dig up the sewage system and replace it because it was backed up, and he went there by himself and just dug up all of this dirt. He took, like, his little thing and scooped out, with 1 repetition, what would have taken probably, like, 100 or 300 shovel repetitions. So, um, when we learn the science and the art of subconscious programming, because one of the things that you use a lot is what Bruce Lipton talks about, which is when you're waking up in the morning, you're going from delta, which is kind of like a sleep, super restorative state, very slow brain waves. Then you're going into theta, which is a little bit faster. Sometimes you take naps, or sometimes you're very, very deeply meditated, almost entranced, or like a hypnosis state. Um, and then you go into alpha, which is more associated also with theta, and alpha are the subconscious kind of sweet spot brainwave states. When we're in that brainwave state, we're actually able to change that computer coding of the subconscious mind, which determines what kind of attitude we're going to have. It determines how clean or dirty our house is going to be. It determines basically everything that we do in our behavior and how we think and interpret, and relate to every aspect of our life. It's the coding that, is the basis of this conversation. So every night when we're sleeping, we're going out of that into theta, then alpha, and then we start going into beta, and we're kind of like then fully awake. So Joe Dispenza is teaching people through his meditation how to practice learning while they're sitting down. They're turning off their sensory input of the outer world, and they're going in. When you're going in and you're not looking at everything out here and being distracted by a phone or something like that, you're like, okay, well, how did I act yesterday? How am I kind of managing my finances? You're able to sit there and you're able to reflect and actually think and calculate and dissect who you're being and where you're going and how all that's going to work. So you have more. It's almost like turning the world off and going into a little compartment or a little office, and you just sit there and you think about what's going on inside of you. But not only that, he's helping you to learn how to practice teaching yourself how to get into an alpha and a theta while you're in that inner compartment. So now instead of just thinking with the forebrain, the prefrontal cortex, which is one of the biggest, advantages that we have as humans. We think and we calculate with this front part of our brain. It's like what makes us feel, remember who we are, and what is kind of highly calculative in terms of like thinking about different things that exist within the brain. And what happens is that we turn that off and we go into the deeper parts of the brain where the subconscious lives. Because there's parts of the brain in the lizard brain that are more towards where the spine connects, that are older and more ancient, and that have to do with how our nervous system is responding. So what happens is we're whenever we're let's say I was to say I'm a millionaire. Is that program inside of me? It's not yet, because it's stuck up here. It's not in the body like you said. It's kind of like up here. It's not down here yet. In order for it to get down here, we have to use leverage. And one of the things, like you're saying, that you're so good at is using repetition. And while you're repeating, practicing every day, saying, "What do I want to think and feel?" You're doing that every single day. You're not only practicing what you want to think and feel, you're also using different tools. Your tools of your books are forms of leverage. Your tools of writing things down is a form of leverage. You're using the pen and the paper to get it out of your head and be out of the thought realm. You're getting it materialized. Well, you're not only doing that, you're using your voice and you're saying it, you're using another thing. You're not only doing that, you're also recording it and using the phone, which is another form of leverage. And then you're repeating it to where you hear yourself saying things like, "I am a greatly kind person who is very valuable to the world around me. And I enjoy waking up every single day and having a lot of power and energy and clarity and understanding." You're saying all these things and you're hearing them because you're leveraging not only through repetition, but through various forms of technology and technique. So what's happening is whenever you write something down, you're doing different parts of the brain. You're getting the language part, which is back here. You're now turning thoughts into words. And then you're also doing like there's a difference when you type of something on your phone versus when you write something. So the writing thing, in order for you to remember how to write versus just type on a phone words, is activating a different part of the brain. When you're talking something, now you're activating a different part of the brain. When you're listening to words that you recorded is a different part of the brain. So now you're starting to get this idea that was up here, which is I am financially free and I get to choose great things, and I have the ability to build and live the life that I want to live. You're getting it into different parts of the brain. So now you're building it deeper and deeper and deeper. And through the the calming down, like one of the things with Wim Hof, that guy that we've done breath work. Dude, he was um he was basically worked with a university in Europe, and they had done a study where at that time they had studied a little over 16,000 people, where they injected them with a form of a E. coli bacteria. So they took them, it was a special form that would activate their immune system to get super sick the same way you would if you had E. coli, which can kill people. Um, but it's only for 24 hours. It was kind of like half dead or a part of the bacteria, and it tricks the immune system of a person, and the immune system is like, "Holy shit, we have E. coli everywhere in our body," and the immune system does the whole process that it does. So people had diarrhea, they had fevers, vomiting, chills, all these different things that you get when you get E. coli for 24 hours, and then they just the body gets it out and they're all okay. So Wim was like, I can do that and I won't get sick. And they say, well, we don't believe you. Every person we've ever done has gotten sick the same way. So he's explained what he did. What he did was is he did his breathing, and that breathing helps to energize and empower his biology. Well, after he did his breathing, he went in with his brain and he communicated to his body, and he was like, we're going to kill this bacteria and we're not going to get sick. We're going to get injected by this bacteria and we're not going to get sick. We're going to kill it right away. He's telling his body this. There's people that can take their hands and they can make this hand like 5 degrees hotter than the rest of their body. They can make this hand 5 degrees colder because they know how to take the thought, the program, and tell it and get it into the body like what we're doing when we're doing these affirmations. We're wanting it to get in the body. We're wanting it to be inside the body to where we're not thinking about it, pretending. It's in us. It's acting. It is a millionaire. It is a kind person. It is focused. It is a great communicator. Not trying to be, not sometimes, it is. So we're learning how to, and different people, maybe they already are almost there and they just have to do a little work. Then there's other people like you and me, maybe in certain things they're okay, but in other ways, dude, they have this huge mountain of negative beliefs and they just got to keep going and years and decades, and then finally after 15 years they start to become this new person. They've learned these techniques, they've done all these days of practice, and now just like Wim, to finish that story, his body killed that E. coli bacteria and was the first person recorded out of these 16,000. He killed it in 15 minutes and didn't get sick. His body just killed it. It was like, "Bloop, it's done. We're all good. Hey, what should we have for lunch?" He wasn't throwing up and fevering, and he wasn't. He had the ability to learn how to empower his body and also communicate these thoughts and tell it what to do. So, um, they said, "Well, there's something different about you. Maybe it's your genes, but nobody else can do this. You're special." And he said, "No, I can teach other people to do this. Give me 2 weeks. Give me the people, give me 2 weeks, and I'll have them do the same thing." So they gave him 16 people. He took them to his home, and, he took them through learning how to do the breathing. He was telling them different aspects of how his philosophy and his technique works, what they have to do to get their body to do what he did. And after 5 days, he was like, "You know what? I don't need the 2 weeks. They're ready." So after the 5 days, he realized they were finished. They go back to the, university, and every single one, not 15, not 12, not half of them, every single person had the same exact response. They did the breathing technique, and then they told their body and communicated down, we're going to be injected, we're going to kill this, and we're going to not feel a single symptom, and we're going to be great. And all 16 of the people did that. And so then the university and the science was like, whoa, what happened? He didn't have to train them and build their immune system for 10 years. He didn't have to change their diet. He didn't have to give them a prescription medication. He didn't have to do vitamins or supplements. All he did was teach them how to use the breath to get extra energy, and how to teach their mind how to communicate with their autonomic nervous system, which is part of this subconscious thing. Because the mind, like, if we were to think about, hey, hey, heart, stop beating for stop beating for 3 seconds. Just pause. Can you pause your heart? We don't know how, because that's like the conscious mind trying to control the subconscious mind. And that heart is so important to our life that there's a lot of programs that are like, no, 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 you can't control that, you'll die. So that's good, but the thing is that there's people that can control their heart. They can control different things, and it's by creating a relationship between the conscious and the subconscious mind, which we don't know how many limits there are, because it's incredibly powerful. To give an example, I don't know of a disease that people have not reversed from doing Joe Dispenza's work. Maybe there's certain things like maybe Down syndrome, or like, I'm sure there's a few that haven't been done, but all these different types, we're talking about hundreds, maybe thousands of all the ones you could think of the worst, like cancers. Some person had, like, I think it was 6 or 7 inches of cancer running through their kidneys, and after a little work, they went back to the doctor, it was all gone. And so what they're doing is they're tapping into the power that lives inside of us that's actually working against us, that we're having to starve. We're having to starve the wolf that's trying to kill us, because it's actually inside of us. There's like a war in this world, which is the negative beliefs that are trying to kill us.
Mhm.
Lack-minded, angry, competitive, manipulative, evil types of codes, viruses like a computer gets. They're viruses. They're trying to take over and attack. And like those weeds, that poison ivy, they don't just make you itchy, they can make you kill people. They can do terrible things that we've seen people do, like Hitler and many others. What was that? It was viruses. And so what we have to do is we have to starve those evil ones out, and we have to strengthen and leverage all these tools and techniques that we have of empowering all the good ones to work together, to help each other, for the body to be strong against any bacterias. And we can create the best world that this one has ever seen in documented history. And it just takes that repetition that you're talking about, mixed together with these sciences and these arts of leveraging these tools that we have.
Yeah, yeah, well said. Yeah, see, it's it's the I was listening to you were talking about the Wim Hof, when overcoming those, that injection that they inject them with the viruses, whatever, and you see the power of autosuggestion come into play.
Mm.
What do you tell yourself? Well, I'm sure those people who actually got sick, they tell themselves long time ago, I'm gonna get sick. Wim Hof didn't do that. He
Ooh,
said, we
yeah.
are going to crush this virus here. That's what happens.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's the crazy part. Like we were talking earlier today, I was listening to songs. I was thinking about TV shows that I watched when I was a kid. That advertisement of that evil cinnamon toast crunch going up and sneaking up on another one, and taking it and abusing it for its own benefit. It's evil. And they're letting that stuff happen to kids when they're in those, because when you're a baby, from about 0 to 2, you're in delta. You're basically asleep all the time. Then you go into into theta from about 2 to 7, and then alpha from about 7 to 12. So the first 12 years of your life, you are in these super hypnotic states that are helping you to just absorb. You're not thinking, because beta is in the thinking where you're like, is this real? Wait, is this how you say lollipop? Or is it is it actually like candy pop? Like, you're not thinking about stuff. They say this is lollipop. You say this is lollipop. This is tomato. This is tomato. This is how you act around people. This is how I act around people. You're just hypnotized all the time. You're barely able to think. It's very hard for you to be critically um skeptical towards what you're being told. And so, yeah, those people have basically been told for a really long time that bacteria and viruses are so powerful, their bodies are so weak, and if you get it, you have nothing you can do but take a pill or, some sort of medicine. And there's all these other programs that people are getting from TV, the shows, the advertisements, the books. There was this one book I remember reading in school, and I was like, man, why was I reading that? It wasn't teaching me good shit. It was like this weird kind of apocalyptic, kind of weird evil society. And schools are famously, I think it's called The Giver or something like that. And of course there was lessons in it and certain benefits, but it was also painting out a really like messed up form of society. And I was just like reading that shit as like an 8-year-old, just like, oh, this is wild. And then I start thinking about it and I'm like, you know what, dude? What if we were to teach people through books when they were in school, like these things about how incredible the body is and how powerful they are and how well we work together and how good society is, and like that was the story, and it was written really well and it was entertaining and had a lot of like moral lessons, but it was teaching this like really incredible story about the success of society and people working really well together and there being like no crime, and like the society was thriving. I don't remember a single book like that.
It's not. Um, uh, it's not. I mean, we thrive off of negativity, and they're just taking advantage of our caveman mind. It's still there. Okay, that saber-tooth tiger that chased down our ancestor 250 years ago, or 2,000 years ago, it's still there.
Mm.
So they understood that, so and they are just taking advantage of that. Like, okay, because you notice we are trained to be afraid of people. I was in when I was working at City Market one day. This lady, her son was trying to talk to me, and she said, "Oh, what did I tell you? Don't talk to strangers."
Mm. Yeah, like everybody's bad.
Okay, everything that you have, pretty much what you have, almost everything, come from strangers.
Wow.
Your car, you don't know the people who build the house that you live in or the apartment. You don't know them. Um, your job, the guy who builds that business, you probably never met him before. I never met the guy who built straight a hotel before.
Your future wife, your future husband,
It's like,
they're strangers
and when I listened to her say that, and it sounds good.
because there's
That,
some truth to it. You need to be
yes,
careful, don't be stupid.
but it's like at the same times, strangers all over the world are in labs and in working with science and everything else to cure diseases and doing wonderful stuff. They are taking advantage, and parents does it too. Maybe they understand it, maybe they don't. Of our When we were on the savannah in on the plains of Africa, whatever we learned of out there, and we took it to everywhere else in the world. It's still there. But the thing is, back then, if the saber-tooth tiger chased after you, you run for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. After that, you go back
Mm,
to your normal state. That's not
mm.
how it works anymore. We are in a constant state of stress and worry and fear, and I do not want to live like that. Okay? If the guy want to come for me, so be it. But I'm not going to worry about some stranger serial killer guy coming looking for me.
But what are you going to do? How does worrying help you? It actually makes you weaker. If you're
Exactly.
just worrying all the time, you're using all this energy and then you're kind of tired and you want to get on your phone or go drink like, a fucking two bottles of wine or smoke, joints or drink like masturbate every single night uh 4 times because you're you're in pain. You're in like
Hmm.
chronic pain, and
Hmm.
so what's better is to like feel safe and secure and practice and nourish yourself and control your nervous system to where you're very regulated because just like them, they weren't panicking all the time. They were learning about what cues to look for. If something starts like rustling in the leaves for a moment, they're like, "Whoa, what was that?" If something does happen, they respond, and they're not stupid. They have their spear, so they have something to protect themselves, and maybe they go with some of their friends when they're not at their house, right? So you're smart. You're learning from whatever dangers are there. You're not stupid, but you're sitting there enjoying your life and you're regulated and you're centered. Something happens, like you said, then you respond and you take care of it. And then you keep enjoying your life and you break bread and you laugh and you high five each other and you're just out there enjoying your life. Um, that's a much uh safer way of living. The other way, you're in more danger.
Yeah, right. I am gonna have to run.
Cool.
This was a wonderful conversation, and I enjoyed. I hope we can do this, again.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it, and I'm gonna be doing, um, a lot more reading now because I listen a lot, but I need to read. It's not the same.
Me too,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, so I want to get back into reading the way how I, because I was a massive big reader, but now I'm going to get back into more reading and listening as well too. And you said some things here earlier on too. I wanted to pay attention to those because that kind of jumps out at me. All right, and Darian, brother, good talking to you, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Okay, man. Take care.
All right, bye bye. Have a good night.
Okay. Peace out, bro.
Same to you. Thanks. Bye.